I feel most connected to God when I'm in nature and I'm looking at sunsets and I'm looking at the sky and, like, you know, just in awe of obviously the landscape of the earth. That connects me the most to God, because I see God's hand in it. I see the beauty of God's hand, the beauty of His creation in that. So I guess my encouragement to you would be to think, how do you see God? Dear diary, I started crying while I was watching the sunset yesterday. Like, I literally cried. Like, tears, like bawling, crying, like wiping tears type of cry. I was giving my own self a side eye. Like, girl, are you really crying at the sight of a sunset? But it wasn't just that for me. Like, for as long as I can remember, I've just always really liked it. Oh my gosh, am I getting emotional again? What the heck? For a long time, like, I would look at the sky and just be in awe. Like, before my love of like birds and trees came, I was obsessed with the sun. I am obsessed with the sun, with sunsets and sunrises. For as long as I can remember, I would always just look at the sky and just admire it and just like be in awe of like what I'm seeing. Especially during sunsets, because there's so many colours and I don't often catch a sunrise, so I only really catch sunrises on holidays or in my previous employment. When I used to start at 6 AM, I would catch the sunrise, but it's very rare that I do. But with sunsets, I always just catch myself staring, awing at a sunset, and it's the colours for me. It's just always been really beautiful to me, and it's only recently when I started my master's course that I did a strengths test, I forgot the name of the test, but it's a psychological test that obviously measures your strengths. And spirituality was at the top, and it explains spirituality. Let me get it up for you. So my strengths profile, so like my top strengths are spirituality. I'll tell you my top 5. Spirituality, appreciation of beauty and excellence, humility, perspective and creativity. So spirituality is having a coherent belief about the higher purpose and meaning of the universe, knowing where one fits within the larger scheme, having beliefs about the meaning of life that shape, conduct and provide comfort. Appreciation of beauty and excellence is my second strength. That is a transcendence category of strength along with spirituality, and that is noticing and appreciating beauty, excellence and or skilled performance in various domains of life, from nature to art to mathematics to science to everyday experience. When I got that profile back, I was like, it makes sense. Of course, those are my two strengths, of course. And every time I look at the sunset, it literally shows me God. Like every time I look at a sunset and I admire the beauty of a sunset, it reminds me who God is. Not just who God is in my life as, you know, God my Father, God my provider, my protector, my Saviour, but God the Creator. God who handcrafted everything that I see. It just reminds me like who God is. Like whenever I see a sunset, a sunrise, whenever I am able to admire a sunset, it really brings me back and like centers me, grounds me, but also allows me to like leave this world in a sense. I don't even know how to explain it. It grounds me in a sense where like it anchors me back to like my core, but it also makes me feel so like out of this world that I can't even explain. It gives me that transcendent feeling of something greater than, something bigger than. And that's why I love sunsets. Like no one can tell me God did not create this. No one can tell me my God did not make this. No one can tell me this is not a creation of God. Just the way in which like the clouds move and the colours blend. Like where do these colours even come from? First of all, scientists, tell me please. I would love to know. How do we get this perfect blend of pink, orange, red, yellow? And I don't even know what the whole point of this video was, but it is a diary entry. Like this is a dear diary, and I'm just expressing my feelings and how I felt. And yesterday I genuinely was walking home from my walk, from work on my walk that I usually go on, and when I get towards home, I guess I get to like the top of the hill, which is where I see like the sun setting, and I was walking by and obviously the sunset caught my eye, and I stopped, I prayed, I stared, and I was like, God, this is so beautiful. Like thank you so much for giving me eyes, thank you so much for giving me my sight to clearly see this beauty. And then I decided to walk away because I was like, okay, I need to go home, because if I stay here too long, like I'm gonna get back home too late, and I had other things to do, and obviously I have work again the next day. So I was like, okay Joyce, you've admired it, keep walking. So I kept walking, and then I just kept looking back, and every time I looked back I saw like a different aspect of like the sky, a different section of the sky and how it looked. And this particular section like it really just sent me, like I just started crying out of nowhere. I was just thanking God and like just praising him for like his creation. I feel like a lot of people connect to God in many different ways. I feel like depending on obviously the kind of person you are, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and how you think, how you experience life. I think that's the way in which you will experience God. And I think I experience God, or I see God a lot through nature and beauty and excellence of like the world. Bird songs really, really calm my spirit. They ground me, like they really, it's literally the same effect that a sunset has on me is what bird songs do to me. Trees and like greenery, they just allow me to feel calmer. It's like my quiet space, my happy place. So I feel like when I'm in nature, when I'm on my walks, it's just like me and God. Like no one else, it's just me and God. And you know, I'm just walking in this, you know, catwalk called life, and like just admiring everything around me, and everything around me is nature, and I just love it because I just see God in it. I just see God. I don't even know if this video is going to make any sense to anyone, but this is my diary entry, so I can talk about whatever I want to talk about. And I know that for some people, they're not going to understand what I'm saying. They're not going to understand, not even the depth, but like my perspective in how I really love the sunset and how I really love nature. Because they see God differently. They connect to God differently. Whereas this side of God, like God the Creator, is my favorite side of God. God the Creative. And funnily enough, like creativity is something, it's also was it in my strengths? I think it was. I would definitely consider myself, again, I see beauty in all things, because I would consider myself a psychologist, but I would also, which is obviously a social science, but I would definitely also consider myself as a creative. Like, I'm someone who has an immaculate eye for detail, and no one can tell me different. Like, one thing about it, two things for sure, like, I have good eyes in regards to what looks good, what doesn't look good, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. Like visually, I have a good eye. Like I feel like I've got a good, not I feel like, I know I've got a good eye for detail, and I'm very creative. I'm very like my taste is very like aesthetically pleasing, and not even just in like just the visual sense, but like in a lifestyle type of sense, you know? Don't know how to explain that further, but if you know, you know type of thing. And I feel like everything, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. What is my point? What is my point? There's no point, girl. This is your diary. I have to keep reminding myself, because I feel like with YouTube, you know, I've obviously conditioned to like create content and like, you know, make content, but this is not me making content. This is just me expressing how I feel. Do you know what I mean? But I guess the conclusion of this video, or the aim of this video, is to encourage you to find it's to encourage you to find that connection with God, no matter what that may look like. Like for me, like I've expressed, like I feel most connected to God when I'm in nature and I'm looking at sunsets and I'm looking at the sky and like, you know, just in awe of obviously the landscape of the earth. That connects me the most to God, because I see God's hand in it. I see the beauty of God's hand, the beauty of his creation in that. So I guess my encouragement to you would be to think, how do you see God? Where does God show up the most for you? Where do you connect to God the most? Or when do you connect to God the most? Or how do you connect to God the most? I think those are really important questions to ask yourself and to contemplate on, because obviously God constantly wants us to lean on Him. So if we're able to like identify our own perfect way of like connecting God or seeing God, you know, we can always go back to that space and feel God, feel His presence. I know, although God is obviously present all the time, He's in all things, He's everywhere. But what is your way of connecting to God? How do you see God? How do you connect to God? You know? And tap into that, you know? Just tap into that. Obviously, if you are spiritual, you know, tap into that more, connect to that more, visit that more, because I think that's where creativity comes. That's where expression comes. Sunsets inspire me so much. It's the colours. Like, I keep going back to the colours, but the colours are just so genuine to me, like so authentic, so just the scene in general. Like, I don't even know how to explain how I feel. Like, I'm sat here in front of the camera and I'm really doing my best to like convey this message, and it's like I don't even know how to explain it to myself. Do you get it? But all I know is that when I'm in nature and I'm looking at the sky, daydreaming, admiring the landscape and what I see with my eyes, and hear, that's when I feel the most connected to God. And yesterday I literally, like I said, I just bawled out crying, and I just started thanking God for everything, because in that moment I really saw Him and I couldn't not thank Him, because I felt like I was really seeing God. And I just start getting emotional, because it's like, I know it sounds crazy, but I know exactly how I felt. Do you know what I mean? In that moment I really saw God, and in that moment I really had to like talk to God and thank Him, and it was like, it was crazy. I feel like I'm acting like some hippie peace type of chick right now, but if that's what is given, that's what is given. But I'm just being who I am, and I want my platform to be an expression of me and who I am and what I think and how I live my life. And I hope that I can create a community of like-minded people. Like, I don't just want to have like thousands and millions of followers and like not have people really understand me. You know, I'd rather have a slow growing community of people that understand me and think like me, or don't think like me and challenge me, you know. But when I look at the sunset also, it also reminds me to just like stop. Just reminds me to like, whatever I'm doing, like whatever I'm thinking of, just stop. Stop and look, stop and feel, stop and see and hear. Just be more present. And that's what I meant by the groundedness, is like it really just anchors me to the present moment, and it allows me to see what my reality is. And my reality is me sat here watching this gorgeous sunset and being in awe, like being in awe of the beauty and being able to see God in this beauty, and just being present with that, watching the sun as it goes down, watching the colours get darker, the clouds accumulating more, the sky getting darker, you know. And if you know me, you know I love a good sunset, and I feel like sometimes my friends like think I'm exaggerating or like I'm being annoying, because I literally take pictures of the sunset, of the sky, of the landscape whenever I want to. Like every time I look at the sky or I've seen a landscape and I'm like, wow, that looks so nice, like wow, that's gorgeous. Sunset doesn't even need to be present, but if I see like a beautiful scenery, I'm like, oh my gosh, wow, so beautiful. And I just whip out my camera and like I want to hold on to that moment, because again, like I feel like I saw the beauty of God in that moment. I saw God in that moment, so I just want to hold on to it. But then obviously pictures never translate to how you really see reality. It's digital, isn't it? So it's a bit different. So what is important is to be present with it. But yeah, I'm someone who's always taking pictures. Like I can't stop and I won't stop, because it makes me happy. But that's my diary entry for today. Again, the purpose of these videos are for expression. Is for expression. So it's Friday the 16th of June. Friday the 16th of June, and it's 10 p.m. and I'm signing out. Ciao, see you. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you.